Johnson is returning from Buckingham Palace, where he has been sworn in as the 66th U.S. ambassador to the United Kingdom.
Yes, we are U.S. ambassador to the
The 71-year-old billionaire is an heir to the Johnson & Johnson pharmaceutical giant and owner of the New York Jets. A close personal friend of Donald Trump, he helped raise over $18 million for his election campaign and now holds the most prestigious ambassadorship in the world.
Still putting yourself on the UK.
Suck in your stomachs and
still using the chat.
Congratulations. Wonderful. Thank you.
Ambassador Johnson starts work at a critical time. During his tenure, Britain will leave the EU. America can seize the chance to forge a new trade deal with the UK, potentially worth hundreds of billions of dollars. Grosvenor Square has been home to the US Embassy since 1938. But in 3 weeks, it will move to a new billion-dollar, state-of-the-art facility.
The US Embassy.
With the president expected to open it, the embassy's press team have commissioned a poll on British attitudes to a presidential visit. The results are in.
Overall, people are favorable of all other three options except the state visit. So there's a very strong net favorability towards the embassy opening, although it's not as high as for the other two. So if an embassy visit was kind of linked to the security and trade, it might have stronger ratings.
Better stop
for the ceremonial visit of the Queen. Younger people actually not particularly against that, but older groups much more against that as well.
I think it tells you a lot about royalty. So views of royalty gives us something to work with.
You see? They don't listen.
7 o'clock on Friday, the 12th of January, the news headlines this morning. Donald Trump has abandoned his plan to visit Britain to open the new American embassy here.
President Trump has taken to Twitter, calling the new embassy a bad deal, and cancelled his visit to London.
Mr. Trump said that he cancelled the trip because he opposed the sale by President Obama of what he called perhaps the best located and finest embassy in London. Only to build a new one in an off location for $1.2 billion. Bad deal.
To mark his first day in the building, Ambassador Johnson has already invited his staff and the media to a flag-raising ceremony. Despite the president's disapproving tweets, the new flag will be raised. The state-of-the-art embassy is now open for business, a fortress in the center of London. Designed to withstand terror attacks from truck bombs to chemical weapons.
We're actually closer to Parliament than we were before. It's really only a 15-minute walk at most. They only let us go this high because of the view from the bridge.
After years of stagnation, the world is witnessing the resurgence of a strong and prosperous America. There has never been a better time to hire, to build, to invest, and to grow in the United States. America is open for business.
America is open for business. Beaucoup plan tout countries. Well, you can even produce fire. So man, I got a small boy.
The special relationship between America and Britain requires a very special U.S. embassy in London. The new one opening next month costs more than $1 billion. Charlie Daggett takes a look.
That 12-story glass cube on the banks of the River Thames is the most expensive U.S. embassy in the world. We're told it's also the most secure, an urban fortress, but specifically designed not to look that way. Philadelphia-based architect James Timberlake says the design was inspired by European castles. It even has its own moat.
is not a moat, but that was what the moniker was put on it at the outset of the competition. It's a pond.
Well, that pond is deep and wide enough to swallow any truck bomb charging toward the building. And that's not the only hidden defense copied from medieval times. Like Windsor Castle, the new embassy sits on a hill set back from the street by over 100 feet. It will eventually be planted with tall grasses, and a waterfall disguises another defensive wall. Even a hedge will hide steel and cement bollards capable of stopping an 8-ton truck. Part of the huge expense was a very modern 6-inch thick blast-proof wall, laminated layers of glass manufactured in Germany, then sent under guard to the US for further construction, then shipped back to London. It is beyond doubt one of the most advanced buildings in the world, but even in comparison to other US embassies, it carries a hefty price tag. Ambassador William Moser says that's the price of security.
When we build an embassy, it's for a 50 to 100-year commitment. That's the nature of the business that we're in.
The star-spangled neighbor, now just across the river from well-known buildings that really have stood the test of time. Charlie D'Agata, CBS News, London.
Struggling with a low credit score? Build credit while saving money with Self, a new way to build credit with no upfront deposits. Establish positive payment history by paying into your credit builder account and watch your score change. Build credit. Download Self today.
A House committee says the price of new U.S. embassies will give you sticker shock. CBS News received the draft of a new report on wasteful spending at the State Department. It says the new embassy being built in London will rise beyond its $1 billion price tag. Congressman Jason Chaffetz says construction delays will make the cost of the project soar. Margaret Brennan's at the State Department with the numbers. Margaret, good morning.
Good morning. Well, the investigation was led by that Utah Republican, Jason Chaffetz, who accuses the Obama administration of taking a risky approach to building embassies, taking too long and spending too much. Now, the next Secretary of State will have to decide whether to build fortress-like installations or architectural jewels. America's striking new embassy in London comes with a sizable price tag. The facility, a steel-framed cube surrounded by glass, will soon exceed its more than $1 billion projection, according to House Oversight Committee Chair Jason Chaffetz.
I feel very misled by the State Department because if we aren't opening those doors in February, the cost to the U.S. taxpayer is about $100,000 a day to stay in a facility that we use to own.
That facility, the existing U.S. Embassy, will be used to house our personnel until the new London Embassy is ready. A 6-month lease agreement, according to Chaffetz, accounts for nearly $22 million cost increase. The House Oversight Committee's 2-year investigation found quibbling over a glass wall at the embassy in Indonesia cost tens of millions of dollars in change order requests, and nearly $3 million was spent on art at the U.S. Embassy in Pakistan. One of the biggest bills came from Mexico, where the U.S. government paid $120 million for a 15-acre lot and $56 million on the design of the diplomatic mission, but nothing has been built there yet. Chaffetz, who visited the site, said costs will climb above the more than $943 million estimate.
Something has to change because they're building them slower, they're coming in over budget, they're not necessarily as secure, and they're so ostentatious.
So for the next Secretary of State, is this top of the list?
I'm glad we have a Mr. Trump coming in because I think he'll get it, and I think he'll know how to fix it and fix it in a hurry.
But the strict security standards of building a post for classified diplomatic work isn't your typical real estate project. State Department Deputy Spokesman Mark Toner.
Do you have any kind of timeline as to when these embassies will be both secure and finished?
Oh, like.
The United States Embassy, headquarters for the American government in
a little over 560 miles from Washington, D.C.
U.S. Embassy. U.S. Embassy in London. We built a new embassy in London. We building a new embassy in Liberia, China, and Japan. I'm the U.S. ambassador here. U.S. General Ambassador all around the world. Right now, you are inside the U.S. Embassy. The U.S. Embassy in London.
For more on this, I'm joined by Robert Deneen, Senior Fellow for Middle East Studies at the Council for Foreign Relations. Robert, good to have you with us. As we saw in Jeremy's report just then, another day of violent clashes. Where does this now leave prospects of peace?
Yes.
Well, it leaves it very much open to question. Friday is a very significant day, so it's not surprising that we would have the kind of protests we've seen happening in Jerusalem and elsewhere throughout the West Bank and Gaza. And so where developments are, unfortunately, is that, right now, a lot of hardliners in the Middle East, those who are opposed to peace, those who are opposed to Israeli-Palestinian reconciliation, now have been given an opportunity, in a sense, because now they have something to play with. They can rally support for hostile forces, and unfortunately, that means that it's put those who want to advance the cause of peace a bit on the back foot, because what it looks like is that this step is not helpful for peace, despite the fact that the Trump administration has tried to argue that it is.
You mentioned the Trump administration. Where does this decision fit into their wider strategy for peace in the region?
Well, this is kind of curious, because in laying out the strategy for recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, the administration couched it in terms of advancing the peace process. I think that was a mistake. This was a legislation that has been backed by presidents, Republican and Democrat, to move the embassy to Jerusalem. And what was lacking was any kind of sense of how this advances the peace process, how this advances or addresses Palestinian or Muslim sensibilities. It was something that was, on the one hand, designed or explained as something to advance the peace process, but they didn't exactly say how. So I think that's been a big problem. And now there's a credibility issue, which is how is the peace process going to be advanced in light of what is seen as something as so clearly pro-Israel. But there are opportunities there.
You mentioned the credibility issue. There were clashes not just in the Middle East, but across the Arab world as a consequence. Where does this leave the US relationship with key allies?
Well, I think there's an opportunity here. I mean, the U.S. has a good message to convey. The Trump administration tried to explain that in recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, it is not in any way determining the borders. It does not foreclose the possibility for Palestine to have its capital in Jerusalem as well. It did not in any way prejudge the status of the holy sites that are holy to Islam and Christianity. And if the administration had been more clear about that, a lot of this would have been averted. So moving forward, I mean, it has to now really redouble its make it clear that the peace process is open, that the final status of Jerusalem, its borders, and the possibility for it to be the capital of Palestine as well as Israel very much is there if a peaceful peace process is pursued.
The problem is, if there's violence, it makes it harder for regional allies to get on board because they have the intent to kill us. We're very upset right now. PBS NewsHour series called Inside Putin's Russia. With the help of the Pulitzer Center on Crisis Reporting, producer Zach Fannin and I traveled to more than a dozen cities, conducted 40 interviews, and were arrested twice. We'll report on Russian propaganda, Russia's opposition, Russians who join ISIS, and a tense relationship with the US. Our first story explores a new Russian identity. It's a combination of religion, how President Putin acts, and why he remains popular. We begin our series in the southern city. And he says being a true Christian is the only way to be a true Russian.
The state and my faith are united. They can't be separated. The values of the church and the state coincide.
In Russia, faith is patriotic. The Orthodox Church criticizes liberal Western values as heresies, while Orthodox priests bless Russian weapons and endorse Putin politically and personally. The president's faith increases his popularity.
He is a religious man, and he takes part in the divine worship with the people in churches. What the president is doing, what the government is doing, of course we support it, because he acts conscientiously and truthfully.
Today's re-energized Orthodox.
You've grown a country. The seeds you plant and the livestock you raise do more than feed us. Farm and ranch families form the backbone of countless communities across this land. As a proud American company, we're here to say thanks. Introducing Polaris Ag Advantage, an exclusive program to support America's farmers and ranchers. Visit your local Polaris dealer or polarisagadvantage.com to learn more.
Cossacks fill Krasnodar streets in an annual parade. They believe Russia should be governed by tradition, not the rule of law.
Only the nation that has kept its traditions and honors them more than the law deserves respect. The strength of a nation is in its traditions.
For more on this, I'm joined by Rob.
This is in retaliation for that missile strike on 5 locations of the militia. They are backed by the Iranians, although affiliated with Iraq. What is going on right now in the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad?
Yeah, there was a string of events that led up to the storming of the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad today. First of all, on Friday, there was an attack on a base. It killed an American contractor and wounded 4 U.S. soldiers. That was followed up by the U.S. strikes on Sunday in Iraq and in Syria against Iranian-backed militias. And today, supporters of those Iranian-backed militias, after funerals for some 25 people killed, stormed the U.S. Embassy, broke through the front gate, threw bottles and lit fires in the entrance. But it appears that the attack has been repelled with tear gas and with some gunfire. And as far as we know right now, nobody's been hurt.
Well, I want to make sure I understand this, Benjamin. As far as we know, the embassy now is secure. They breached the outer wall, as I understand it, but now the embassy is secure as far as we know.
Yes, as far as we know. And the protesters have set up tents outside and are continuing to protest.
They called. This is in retaliation for.
Oh.
This was my phone before CallJoy. This is my phone now.
Thanks for calling Leo's Plumbing. In a few words, how can I help you?
As a small business owner, my to-do list is never ending. I don't always have time to answer every call. Thankfully, I found CallJoy, a customizable agent that's available to answer every call I receive, 24 hours a day. I'll never miss a call again. Setup takes less than 5 minutes. And CallJoy records and transcribes all my incoming calls, so I can review them anytime. My CallJoy agent responds to the unique needs of each customer. It understands essential information about my business and uses it to answer common questions. I no longer have to deal with repetitive calls about my open hours or how to schedule an appointment. The CallJoy agent saves me time, so I can focus on urgent client requests and more important tasks. I want my customers to have a great experience, and I want my business to sound professional. When customers call, I have call action set up to handle every request. For example, if they're calling with a basic question about open hours or location, the agent responds with those details. If they want to make a reservation, CallJoy sends them a link to my website to book one. If they want to speak with us directly, the agent routes the calls to whatever number I want. Boom. Best of all, I get insights into all my incoming calls, even the ones I don't answer. Before CallJoy, I had no idea that my business was missing 20% of calls. 20%. As a small business owner, CallJoy helps save me time, so I can deliver better customer service and focus on growing my business.
This is how they look. They are fly.
True wireless audio is here, and it's what everybody wants.
Great comes, baby. New earbuds, they wireless.
Right, so there's a picture of me. There's the Fox Business logo.
Shout out to Big Kind Earbuds, man.
Down is good, everything good, picture in perfectly each day.
Here, world's most powerful picture. My hair already can't even tell. I highly recommend it. It's awesome. You have to get yours right now.
In places where there is trouble, in places where there is opportunity, they see it first.
They are the president's representative. They are there to represent our value systems. They're there to represent what's good about America and our life. They also are required to deliver our message. It isn't always a pleasant message.
I was often sent to harangue murderers of Africa and tell them to knock it off.
Their lives take them places where America is admired by some, resented by others. Simply going to work puts them at risk.
We have seen embassies blown up. We have seen walls blown up. We have seen family members killed in church.
We had 20,000 panicked people on the corner because the entire area had exploded.
As the world grows more dangerous, they are asked to fight a new kind of war.
The United States doesn't respond to terrorists by digging a hole, crawling through it. We have to be here to keep America safe, to keep people all around the world safe.
To effect real change, they aim their diplomacy not just at governments, but at ordinary people. They need compassion and the courage to admit America's mistakes.
Here to speak for the people of America, to say how sorry we are for what happened. But I believe the friendship between Japan and the United States will carry us through.
Beyond these gates are the stories of men and women from different backgrounds who share one of the toughest jobs on earth.
Congratulations, Mr. Ambassador.
And a title that carries both honor and jeopardy. American Ambassador. Pakistan. 145 million people crowded into one of the world's most explosive regions. Islamic radicals here call for war with the West, death to infidels. Few are in more danger than American Ambassador Wendy Chamberlain. Despite these dangers, she believes she must make public appearances, like today's official visit to Pakistan's second largest city, Lahore.
My objective here, certainly, is to explain America to Pakistanis and Pakistanis to Americans. And you can't do that in a reception.
But wherever she goes, the first concern is her safety.
We can get through this today. If we have a problem during the day, we'd like to have the ambassador brought back here to the consulate as an emergency safe haven.
Away from the embassy, her security men must rely on a small army of hired guards, including an elite police unit with automatic weapons. Moving her anywhere takes a mini caravan with motorcycles.
I thought we were going shopping. Yeah, I already started without you. I'm sorry. Oh, these are cute. Yeah, right? I like these too.
Every traffic stop is a potential ambush. The guards deploy, on alert. Wendy Chamberlain is the first woman to be U.S. ambassador here. She's practically a celebrity. The press follows her everywhere it can. Today's visit is to a madrasa, an Islamic school. Elsewhere, schools like this one have been fronts for terrorists.
In some of these madrasas, it's not really a religious education as much as political indoctrination. These were recruiting grounds for the Taliban.
One lesson for the hundreds of students today: the American ambassador knows the difference between true believers in Islam and those who would exploit it.
To think that these extremist groups have audacity to say that they can make terrorism.
In fact, Tremfya was proven superior to Humira in providing significant clear skin.
Tremfya may increase your risk of infection but lower your ability to fight. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or sickness, or if you have a vaccine or plan to. Serious allergic reactions may occur.
United States with me is that Islam condemns killing of other beings, and Islam finds suicide to be shameful. Islam has nothing to do with terrorism. Nothing to do with
When President Bush asked Wendy Chamberlain to take this job, she knew it would be difficult. Relations between Pakistan and the U.S. have been strained for years.
And I said yes, knowing that it was one of the more challenging relationships in the world, and that it would not be an easy job. But that's what We do. We take on hard jobs at times. I had no idea, of course, what was coming.
Within weeks of her arrival, Wendy Chamberlain will be at the center of the greatest crisis her country has faced in decades. And Washington will demand to know from her, will Pakistan be an enemy or an ally? Thousands of miles away, another new ambassador is adjusting to life in Tokyo. Japan is among the most important diplomatic posts for the U.S. Both countries regard each other as among their most important allies. Hundreds of Japanese and Americans work at the embassy or dozens of U.S. agencies. With the Japanese sense of what's proper, an envoy here must have prestige. Former senators, a general, even an ex-vice president have occupied the ambassador's residence next door to the embassy. The new ambassador is a respected statesman, Howard Baker, a retired Senate leader who is also President Reagan's chief of staff.
I have had a variety of experiences in all candor, and I'm a lucky person to have had the opportunity. I had no idea I would ever be in the diplomatic corps and ambassador to any place, but when President Bush asked me to do it, I thought long and hard about it, and finally decided that, you know, how many people at my age get offered a new career?
Even a statesman must rehearse the do's and don'ts of ceremonial protocol. All ambassadors begin by delivering official word of their own appointments, their diplomatic credentials. The tradition is centuries old and very formal in Japan, where the head of state is an emperor.
So, where am I? Yes, yes.
An approach to the throne is choreographed like ballet.
And then I go up here.
Still living in the house.
Like this. So I do that before I bow. Not bow first. How am I going to remember? Your Majesty, I have been appointed as the ambassador of the United States to Japan. And I have the honor to present my letters of credence and my predecessor's letter of recall. It reminded me of a wedding rehearsal. There are toe marks and exact procedures. And that's okay. Although I must say, it's the first time in my life I've worn a morning coat and striped trousers.
Everything is ordered, settled, calm, or it looks that way. In truth, U.S.-Japan relations are torn as they have not been in years, and Ambassador Baker must do what he can to repair the damage. Guatemala.
The United States Embassy has urged its citizens currently living or traveling to Liberia to exercise caution in the event that the presidential runoff sparks violence. The relationship between the two countries dates back close to 2 centuries, and the U.S. has given over $1 billion in bilateral assistance since Liberia's civil war in 2003. CGTN's U.S. correspondent William Denslow reports from New York.
In a statement released by the U.S. Embassy in Liberia, they urge U.S. citizens to keep informed of the security situation and to keep monitoring media reports. And while Americans aren't expected to be targeted, the embassy urged people to avoid any potential protests or demonstrations. Now, the strong ties between the two nations have existed since the resettlement of freed slaves and freemen from North America since the start of the 19th century. Now, the United States has invested heavily in Liberia, both directly and through the United Nations mission to the country, UNMIL. Now, the US also took significant action to help the country battle the Ebola outbreak under former President Barack Obama. At least 3,000 troops were sent to the region, and a regional command center was set up in Liberia's capital, Monrovia. Now, while advising its citizens to remain vigilant, the US praised the election held in October. The embassy in Liberia announced that it was inspired to see 1.5 million people put their faith in democracy. William Denslow, CGTN, New York.
Yeah, but
Present-day Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire or Ivory Coast. People have been living in this part of West Africa from about 30 to 40,000 years ago. We know this from fossil evidence. Fast forward to the 13th century, and several kingdoms had come into being, famed for their use and sale of gold. The most powerful of these was the Asante. In this episode, we see how the Asante remained deeply attached to their traditions and culture, even in the face of adversity and conquest, and how women were in the forefront of their battles for survival. The Asante are one of the best known of Africa's groups. They're sometimes called the Ashanti, and their history accounts for some of the most vivid chapters in Africa's story, as described in UNESCO's General History of Africa, on which the series bases its facts. We'll see how they fought bitterly and bravely, their rulers enduring long periods of exile in order to maintain their proud traditions. First, who exactly are the Asante? Well, they belong to a much larger community known as the Akan, who make up about 45% of the population of modern-day Ghana and around 33% of Côte d'Ivoire. The Akan include many other subgroups like Twi and Fanti in Ghana, and the Baoulé and Abron in Côte d'Ivoire. To get an impression of the mix of these ethnicities, I go to the Azmira restaurant in the Ghanaian capital Accra, which prides itself on serving a wide variety of dishes. Local fashion designer Linda Amper, her husband Carl and daughter Nawarama helpfully take me through what's on offer.
Every region is represented in this restaurant.
So what? Oh my, this is a huge. What is this that's just?
So this is called Impotompoto. This is from the eastern region of Ghana, and it's made from cocoyam. This one is kontomire stew. This is typical of Ashanti.
Okay, enough. They just know you were late now with their friends. Why they were running? They just thought you not get with them. Oh, the song you go get with one of I don't know what's wrong with these. So you even come around and probably. Then we trying to tell them they were not paying attention. Yes, I'm Charles Jenkins Taylor. I was left Liberia. Balance it. Balance it. Balance it. Balance it. Balance it. Balance it. Just again.
You've grown a country. The seeds you plant and the livestock you raise do more than feed us. Farm and ranch families form the backbone of countless communities across this land. As a proud American company, we're here to say thanks. Introducing Polaris Ag Advantage, an exclusive program to support America's farmers and ranchers. Visit your local Polaris dealer or polarisagadvantage.com to learn more.
Woodhouse is bringing the experience to you. Search thousands of new and pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs. Explore payment options and apply for financing all online from anywhere. Plus, we'll deliver it to you. Car buying made easy. Visit woodhouse.com and experience the Woodhouse difference today.
And that school they're going to. Happy Saturday. Stop doing that. Just slow down. I gotta announce something for you.
these challenging times, Holiday Mazda is here for you with compelling options like just $299 per month with zero down on this new Mazda CX-30, or move up to a new Mazda CX-5 Touring Edition for only $349 per month with zero down.
I love the experience, and it's that trust that brings me back.
For all of your transportation needs, Team Holiday is here for you to help us all move forward together to a better tomorrow. Discover the difference at Holiday Mazda, Fond du Lac.
Oh, the God, them. I gotta play that video for them. The glasses. I said I remember I left the glasses. Back of them. Yeah. Every time they always say they don't know somebody. And then time was I don't know what they were thinking. I didn't see the kind of way they were looking at people or they back up or they will move or they're still doing this thing. They're disturbing, they really disturbing.
Woodhouse is bringing the experience to you. Search thousands of new and pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs. Explore payment options and apply for financing all online from anywhere. Plus, we'll deliver it to you. Car buy made easy. Visit woodhouse.com and experience the Woodhouse difference today.
Somebody will see him put it all tell them doing it in small. That they can do, they cannot do.
Woodhouse is bringing the experience to you. Search thousands of new and pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs. Explore payment options and apply for financing all online from anywhere. Plus, we'll deliver it to you. Car buying made easy. Visit woodhouse.com and experience the Woodhouse difference today.
I go spoil your car now. They're blood. We don't know how long they going with the Canada. We don't know how long they're doing this kind of thing. I think every day, you don't see, you know that we remember that particular glasses. Then you go to you, then the laptop. The thing where they can't even, you can't even do the kind of thing to people bold and sour, then you can't do the kind of thing to them. And you can't look at people like us and can't do it also. How are we be telling you every time? What kind of thing you're doing? Every time.
Woodhouse is bringing the experience to you. Search thousands of new and pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs. Explore payment options and apply for financing all online from anywhere. Plus, we'll deliver it to you. Car buying made easy. Visit woodhouse.com and experience the Woodhouse difference today.
I was not told that. Why, man? Oh, do this. No. Why would I? That man there on that. The president of Mexico must hear this. Every time they keep doing this kind of their family. Look at the kind of thing that they do. Look at the thing that Chester do. Look at the kind of thing the way you can act already. No, I never killed somebody. I didn't do something. I didn't to be thinking, oh, oh my God. Manuscripts of Finance, Defense Minister. We are people.
In these challenging times, Holiday Mazda is here for you with compelling options like just $299 per month with zero down on this new Mazda CX-30, or move up to a new Mazda CX-5 Touring Edition for only $349 per month with zero down.
I love the experience, and it's that trust that brings me back.
For all of your transportation needs, Team Holiday is here for you to help us all move forward together to a better tomorrow. Discover the difference at Holiday Mazda, Fond du Lac. In these challenging times, Holiday Mazda is here for you with compelling options like just $299 per month with zero down on this new Mazda CX-30, or move up to a new Mazda CX-5 Touring Edition for only $349 per month with. In these challenging times, Holiday Mazda is here for you with compelling options like just $299 per month with zero down on this new Mazda CX-30, or move up to a new Mazda CX-5 Touring Edition for only $349 per month with zero down.
I love the experience, and it's that trust that brings me back.
For all of your transportation needs, Team Holiday is here for you to help us all move forward together to a better tomorrow. Discover the difference at Holiday Mazda, Fond du Lac.
Hello, may I take your call? You came for an interview today. Okay. At the U.S. Embassy. I'm the ambassador here.
Testing. We are not in a situation where we say we're exactly where we want to be with regard to testing.
If you said that, I don't agree with it.
And on injecting disinfectants.
Is there a way we can do something like that? By injection inside or almost a cleaning.
Or using UV rays inside the body.
That is a treatment.
My guest this morning, Dr. Deborah Birx, head of the Coronavirus Task Force. Governor Phil Murphy of New Jersey. Infectious disease specialist.
Nothing to assist.